folks, can't say I'm too happy about the Raiders' performance on Sunday. They lost 16-10 to the Broncos in a very pivotal AFC West game. And it's one of those games where you can tell as competitive as this division is going to be, every single in-division game you get is worth like a trillion extra points. Like, you got to win as many of these games as possible because it's going to come back to haunt you, because that's the tiebreaker. You know, that can be the difference between, having a first-round bye in the playoffs or being with the 5th or 6th seed, or maybe not even making the playoffs at all. So, obviously, losing this game, more or less so than just about any other conference game you can have. I mean, if it's a loss against the Chiefs or against the Broncos, it hurts double. And pretty bad play from the Raiders. Obviously, the big news out of this one, Derek Carr got kneed when he was tackled on a play. So he exited the game with spasms. Now, it's Monday morning when I'm recording this video, so I'm not really sure what the update is. It doesn't look it's too bad. He should probably be back in the lineup on Sunday for the game against the Ravens. But we'll see if that, has caused any long-term damage. I mean, up to that point, the Raiders really weren't doing all that well in the game. Derek Carr had 143 yards. Did go 10 for 18. He had that huge pass to Johnny Holton, which is pretty awesome. 64 yards, only touchdown pass of the game. But still, he finished with a 33.9 quarterback rating. Not really the kind of stuff you look forward to if you're a Raiders fan. And the rushing game was non-existent. I mean, I don't even have to say anything about this one. Just take a look at the numbers for yourselves. Raiders, 24 yards rushing on the day. Denver, 143. C.J. Anderson had 95. That's, like what? Let's do the math here. I don't know, like only about 8 times as many yards as Marshawn Lynch got in the game. He only had 12 on 9 carries. Just an atrocious showing. I mean, I know Denver has a really good rush defense, but still, that's just god-awful. And Trevor Siemian had a pretty good day. He went 16 for 26 for 179 yards, got 1 touchdown pass. Did get sacked 4 times, so one of the big bright spots of the game was, I think there's 2 major ones. Number 1, the defense looked boss. You had Khalil Mack going in there getting a strip sack, which was overturned. Just putting a lot of pressure on Denver, which is how you win these conference games. That kept the Raiders definitely in the contest when it looked like they weren't really there offensively. And I thought EJ Manuel did pretty good. Now, you got to remember, heading into the 4th quarter, I think it wasn't until the 2nd possession in the 4th quarter, the Raiders had accumulated like negative 6 yards of offense for the entire second half of the game. So, yeah, things were bad. So he got a hot hand, started making some completions. He went 11 for 17 for 106 yards. So, at the end of the day, the Raiders actually outpassed Denver 230 to 155. So, it's a pretty good margin. But like I said, every team in the league can throw the ball. It's about whether or not you can run the game. And I've noticed in today's football league, 9 times out of 10, the team who does a better job running the ball is the team who ends up winning the game. So clearly, and we saw the Raiders just dominate against the Jets. We saw them go in there and dominate against the Titans. Well, they did. They controlled the run game. They won those games. They got beat running the ball against the Redskins and the Broncos. They both lose it and they fall to 500. Probably not a coincidence. So EJ Manuel did pretty well. He did throw that game-costing interception late in the 4th quarter, which, could have given the Raiders the game. They could have scored. They could have got the extra point. They would have won that game 17-16. And this video would have an entirely different tempo, but alas, such did not happen, and we're stuck here on Monday morning being depressed by the Raiders being 2-2. Looking really, really good. Looking like a Super Bowl caliber team after the first 2 weeks of the season, and then just looking like the 2015 Raiders in this game and the game against the Redskins last week. So, I mean, yeah, clearly there are some, glimmers of hope, but overall just a pretty bad performance. Let's look at some other details here. Seth Roberts did pretty well, getting 49 yards. Jared Cook, you really can't complain about these new receivers. Jared Cook and Cordarrelle Patterson definitely putting in some good numbers there. And I remember, Jamiz Olawale came in pretty late in the game and got some good stats, so hooray for him. Let's see what else we have. Anything else of note? Corey James actually led the Raiders in tackles, so good job there, boy. Khalil Mack got 4 quarterback hits, so cannot complain about that. Let's see who led in deflected passes. Well, they're not showing it, but Yeah, the defense did pretty good against the run. Pretty crappy. They did pretty good passing, but did terrible against the run. So less said about that, the better. But what can you do? It's a tough one, but you got to regroup. You got to rally. I just think the Raiders were making some pretty bad decisions early on. They got to get the offense going. You just can't be a fourth quarter only offense like we were last year and expect to win a lot of games. Just got to get that ball rolling. Got to get it rolling earlier, and we'll see. So yeah, next week we got the Ravens, and the Ravens are on a free fall. They won the first 2 games of the season, and then they just got murder death killed by Jacksonville last week. Then on Sunday they got murder death killed by Pittsburgh, so they're definitely in wounded animal mode. So yeah, hopefully they'll get us above 500 because you need that. You gotta get those wins. If you can't get them in division, at least get them in conference. That helps the playoff standings. And we'll see from there. A couple other things about this game. Amari Cooper's still dropping balls. We got to work on that. That's just inexcusable. I mean, there's probably like 2 or 3 touchdowns we've lost this year because he can't hold on the ball. Consider the fact that we didn't have Garyon Conley playing, that we didn't have Keith McGill, that David Amerson went out with an injury pretty early in the game. I think the Raiders did surprisingly well. TJ Carey doing a whole lot better this year than he did last year, so I'm kind of surprised by his impressive play there. Carl Joseph looked good. He's really making a case to be a profound player on the defense. Michael Crabtree out, crucial receiver because he's just so necessary for setting up the passing game. And we'll see. It's a little bit early to tell. I mean, we still got 5 or 6 days for the game itself is held. We'll see if Derek Carr's eligible. We'll see what Michael Crabtree's up. We'll see what Derek Emerson's up. Not Derek Emerson, David Emerson. I don't want to murder 2 players there. But we'll see. Hopefully they rebound. I'm almost certain that's a home game against the Ravens, so that should give them a little bit of an edge. But we'll see. Raiders, they lose 16-10. Not as bad as loss against the Redskins. A game they honestly could have won except for that late interception. But what can you do? You just take the bad, you roll for it, and just prepare for next week. So I'll see you on game day, and hopefully we'll be a team above 500 then. And if not, I don't want to think about it.